let's do 12.2 millimeters squared converting over to meters squared. 12.2 millimeters squared converting over to meters squared. David.
If we do 12.2 millimeters squared times 1,000 meters squared over one, sorry, might be.
Did you just say might be?
Yeah. My issue, my problem. I was wrong.
No, I got it. Okay.
Okay, sorry. So that should be 1 meter squared over 1,000 millimeters squared.
In other words, 1 meter squared equals 1,000 millimeters squared. Right there?
Yeah.
Is that right? Unfortunately, it's 1 meter that equals 1,000 millimeters. It's not 1 meter squared that equals 1,000 millimeters squared. Frank? See, here what you're doing is you're giving me an answer rather than a solution. I'm much more interested in the solution so that we can apply it and use it further, right? That's just an answer. So what do we need to do here, Megan?
You have to imagine that it's a square meter, and it has 1,000 millimeters for each side, so if you square 1,000, it will not be a million.
Right, again, this is basically, we need a little bit more to be able to see this. I'm not going to every time draw a square. Austin.
Do you times 12.2 by 1 meter over 1,000 millimeters twice?
Yes, I want to do a step first before we get there. Okay. So what this is 1 meter over 1,000 millimeters, that quantity squared. And David, the mistake that you made is one that typically gets made all the time. Okay. So understand that what it means to be squared, Austin, is what?
Multiply it by itself.
You multiply it by itself. So what this means is this is the same thing as 12.2 millimeters squared multiplied by 1 meter over 1,000 millimeters multiplied by 1 meter over 1,000 millimeters. Right? That's what this means. 1 meter over 1,000 millimeters squared means we multiply it by itself. Megan?
Do we have to do that in our homework, or can we just do 1 meter squared over 1 million millimeters squared?
Over
1 million millimeters squared.
Well, here's the problem, is that you're going to have instances where you have, for example, number of watts per horsepower, 746 cubed, right? So you're not going to just be able to go, oh, well, that's, I have no idea, right? So the point here is to be able to show your work and be able to do it with any applicable thing rather than just specifics. Let me show you one other thing that I think will help you see the way you want to do it. So the mistake people make, which is what the mistake David made, is I can show this 2 different ways. We could also do this 12.2 millimeters squared multiplied by, bring the square underneath the parentheses, and we have 1 squared, bless you, meter squared, divided by 1,000 squared millimeters squared, right? So you just forgot to square the numbers as well. So notice that this is the same, bless you, as this. And Megan, I don't care which way you do it. Either way, it's fine, but you can see how 746 cubed here would be much easier to write. Okay, so this is going to give us an answer. We lose millimeters squared and millimeters squared. What do we get, please? Yes?
Can I go grab my calculator from
You
my
may take a pass, please. Trevor?
1.22 times 10 meters.
Great. Let's do another one. 120 kilometers per hour squared, we're converting to meters per second squared. 120 kilometers per hour squared, converting to meters per second squared. Ben, how are we gonna do this?
First, I would multiply. You're gonna have 1,000 meters on top over 1 millimeter.
Okay, so what you've done is you've converted from kilometers to meters. We're now in meters per hour squared.
And then you're gonna have to multiply by 1 hour over 3,600 seconds.
And that takes care of one of the hours, but we have two of the hours
So you
multiplied by
have to do
it.
it again.
So we do it again. And again, you could do it either one of these two ways. I find that students see it more easily like this, so that's how I'm going to write it. But again, you could do it either way. Hours squared on the top, hours squared on the bottom. We get what? Rashad, what'd you get? Whoever's got it, give it to me, please. I need to know the number. 0.92. Can you give me more other than just 925? 92.
92592593.
Okay, that's plenty. And that's in meters per second squared. So now we need to round to the correct number of sig figs. Ryan.
9.3 times 10 to the negative third.
Negative fifth? Is that what you said, fifth?
Third.
Third? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, I agree with that. You could also write it 0.0093 meters per second squared. Both are correct, and it doesn't matter to me which one. Coming back to the beginning. We started with 11 millimeters, we were converting to meters. Brad wanted to divide by 1,000, right? Which, to be honest, for that simple conversion, probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But the truth is, do you see how it can get much more complicated? Everybody see that? Okay. So that's why I compel you to show all your work. Because in the long run, I'm trying to get you to understand that if you can show it with the simple stuff, when we get to the much, much harder stuff, that makes the harder stuff easier. Okay. So please be aware of that. Also, pointing out this whole concept that it builds on itself. We get to review stuff as we're going through, right? Here in the middle of a problem, we got to review doing scientific notation, sig figs, all of those things. And again, those are things that are going to come up all